Hey y'all, so today we're going to look at something short, sweet, and simple. We're looking at the Wilson Combat Shock-Buffer recoil buffers. Simply what they are, they're little plastic things that go on your guide rod. I'm sure it's some polymer or whatever. People are going to say, oh, you called it plastic, and it's technically an injected nylon, whatever. It's a plastic piece that goes on the end of your guide rod. So, bit of a controversy over these. Some people say they're great, some people say they're garbage. I think they're kind of actually pretty cool and useful, and I don't really see the issue with them. I've heard some people say that after about 3,000 rounds, they'll put one in their gun and they'll run it forever, and then after like 3 years and like I said like 3,000 rounds, they'll be like, oh my god, I pulled apart my gun and this little plastic thing's all shredded on the inside, right? And it was causing malfunctions. Well, to that I say there's a reason it's a pack of 6. You're supposed to replace them every once in a while. So that's the one big thing. If you ever are watching, if you're thinking of putting these in your gun and you watch someone that is negative about them, and I'm not, fully endorsing it, I don't, they're not mine, I'm just giving my thoughts. But if you see anybody that says that, ask them how long they were in their gun. Because I want to show here what mine looks like. Now, I replaced the standard guide rod in my Delta Elite because Delrin guide rod is notorious for breaking, and it broke. So I wanted to use the metal one, what John Browning kind of intended for the gun. Amazing thing. So I put one in my gun. Now I put about 300 to 400 rounds through the gun with this on, and I want to show what it looks like. Now keep in mind that this is worst case scenario for this poor little buffer pad, because I'm running hot 10 millimeter, which most 1911s are 45. So keep in mind, like, okay, there's what they look like new, and then that bottom one is after 300 to 400 rounds, right? Now you'll see it's a little smushed in, right? You can definitely see where the slide has been hitting it, but overall it's in one piece, right? No, it's not tearing apart, it's not in multiple pieces, it's not shredding, but it does have a good bit of, I don't want to say damage, but it's got a good bit of use on it, and it's still working. Now I'm going to probably replace it pretty soon, because this is a carry gun. In fact, I might, once I put this back together, I might replace it just because, because pack of 6 for $7. So if I replace it every 300 rounds, not that big a deal. And some people, I've seen people like Yankee Marshall, I think he did a test with one. I think he got 500 to 1,000 rounds. I think he did the one test with them and no issues. So I'm seeing people that are testing them, they like them. I like them. Like I said, I think people say it's going to reduce recoil. I really don't see that, but I do think that I think in general, if you've got a steel on steel contact when the gun recoils, right? And I can't put it back together at the moment, but you've seen what it looks like when a gun recoils. I think taking a piece of polymer, something a little bit spongier, and putting it in between there is of course going to reduce the wear on your gun, especially when you're running hotter ammo. Of course it's going to reduce the wear. It might not necessarily reduce the recoil, it might be a little less sharp, but I think the purpose of these is, especially if you want to run a little bit hotter ammo, is it saves your gun, and the other thing is I really can't test these. There's no way to really test these extensively, because extensively would be buying 2 guns, running one gun with one of these in its whole life, running the exact same gun without it in its life, and going through 20,000 rounds in each gun, or basically until they break, and see which one broke first, the one with or without. So there's really no way to do an extensive test. I'm sorry, but being self-funded, I don't have the money to buy 2 1911s and dump, 10,000 rounds through each of them. But I think they work. I think it's a cool little product. Like I said, I put one in my gun, and I've had no issues. Reliability actually went up with it. That's kind of, when I say that, with the factory guide rod kind of blowing apart, not really blowing apart, but like just, it got smashed out because of cheap plastic guide rod. Thanks, Colt. Um, with this in, I've had no issues. Uh, I know some people say that with that in, it will make it that the gun won't lock back. I'm here to tell you I've had no issues with that. The gun's locked back every single time. It hasn't affected accuracy. Accuracy is the same as it was from the factory, real nice and tight groups. It just, you know, I haven't noticed any downsides to these little buffer pads. So if you're thinking about running one, I would highly recommend um, just giving it a shot. Putting, it's $7 for 6 of them, right? It's not a huge investment to try, and it might, maybe, if you're running a little bit hotter load, maybe it does take a little bit of the snappiness out of the recoil, and maybe if it's a gun you're planning to shoot a lot, it'll maybe save it a little bit more. Like I said, guns don't last forever, and especially if you're running hotter stuff, the internet is filled with pictures of stuff blowing up or cracking out. But I highly recommend this as a cool little thing to try. I run it in my carry gun, so that should pretty much be a good example of what I think of them. I wouldn't put it in my carry gun if I didn't think it was safe and reliable. But yeah, cool little product. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and have a good day.